Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is 16th of February, now it's 2:30, middle of the day. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my channel in which I share latest updates on the news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There is plenty of very significant developments and news that I like to share with you for this moment. But before I start, let me emphasize how grateful I am for your attention and support, including donations. And note that your help and kindness truly keeps alive this channel, and my hope that one day I may find a way to return to journalism. So thank you very much. Now let's talk about news, and I will start with Ukraine and special military operation. First, probably will be that according to latest information from Ukraine, air raid is all over the country, and the reason is that Russian MiG-31 fighter jets take off in Belarus. That's what Ukrainian side is saying, and as you know, MiG-31 fighter jets are equipped with Kinzhal hypersonic missiles, so that's why entire Ukraine is under air raid. I did share this information on my Telegram channel, and if you want to learn more about news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets, you can subscribe. I do share tens of informations on a daily basis, so you may find it interesting and useful for you. So let's continue now. This is TASS news agency here, which is reporting that in previous 24 hours, 2 Ukrainian drones were shot down over the sea in close proximity from Sevastopol city in Crimea, and a few more drones were shot down in other areas of Crimea. No reports about any destruction on the ground or any casualties. All drones, it seems like, were shot down over the sea. So as you can see, Ukraine is not stopping to somehow hit deep inside Russian territory. This time they did try to attack Crimea, but unsuccessfully, which is good. Let's continue. We have RIA Novosti news agency here, which said that according to DPR officials, Russian armed forces, Russian side did manage to take all high ground around Bakhmut city. Let me show you on the map. Probably everyone, most of this planet probably already know that there is a city of Bakhmut in Ukraine, because this story is dragging on for so long that, So according to officials in DPR, Donetsk People's Republic, all high ground around the Bakhmut are now under control of Russian side, Russian armed forces and units of PMC Wagner. But yet again, city itself, in general, mainly under control of forces that are still loyal to Zelensky's Nazi regime. This will probably continue for a while, this story, because even though there is some indications that Kiev may be planning to withdraw forces, for now I see no reason to truly believe that Bakhmut will become under Russian control and in next, let's say, few days or few weeks. Even Prigozhin, head of PMC Wagner, saying that it will take at least a few months if Ukrainian forces will stay and fight in this town. Prigozhin may be conservative in his estimations, but time will tell. And we also had information late afternoon yesterday that units of PMC Wagner did establish control over the last roads that were connecting Bakhmut to the other areas of Ukraine that are still under control of Zelensky's regime. So technically speaking, this city is now encircled because only fields are left which Ukrainian side can use to flee this town. But it again only on civilian vehicles and on the foot, but because heavy equipment will stuck in the mud there. I don't see how they're gonna move heavy equipment in and around. When it comes to other areas, as you can see, mainly as it was yesterday, it's artillery duels between the sides. We have reports that there was activity in direction of Donetsk, and the Russian Defense Ministry reported that in Donetsk direction, Ukrainian side did lost up to 135 soldiers as a result of successful Russian offensive operation, and same time Russian forces managed to destroy 2 HIMARS multi-launch rocket systems and few more pieces of artillery. So some bad news for Zelensky's regime in the direction of Donetsk, but still no groundbreaking breakthroughs yet in this direction. As you know, one of the hot points is Marinka here, and this town is still divided between the sides. Most of the town under Russian control, but Ukrainian forces still are managing to hold their positions in this area here. And how long this will continue, who knows. We can see more activity in Ugledar direction, but yet again it's too early to say that the Russian side will resume its offensive operations here. It may, but for now at least, it seems like a front line here will be quiet. On the front line will be quiet for some time. And Zelensky's regime did manage to secure Ugledar, at least for this moment. Let's continue with news. And this one is interesting. Tomorrow, President of Belarus, Lukashenko will have a meeting with the President of Russia, Putin, and I think this meeting may have some significance because in few days' time, on 21st of February, Putin will deliver his speech before Russian Federal Assembly. And as you know, after on the next day, after Putin's speech, Russian State Duma, Russian Parliament, and Russian Federation's Council will have also unscheduled meeting, and I think some serious decisions will be made, and those decisions probably will be announced by Putin himself on his speech. So that's why I think this meeting between Lukashenko and Putin is important. It may have some connection with Putin's speech, what he has to say. So, it's only a few days now left before 21st of February, so we will see. Well, let's continue. This is RIA Novosti News Agency, which is reporting that according to Office of Zelensky, Russian side changed its tactics on the front line, and nowadays Russians are more actively using some decoys before they start their strikes, before they launch air strikes, missile strikes, and so on. And it seems like Ukrainian side was not ready for this kind of change, and this is important because even though Zelensky's regime still has quite capable air defense systems, it's only a matter of time when they will run out of missiles for those air defense systems. And once again, active usage of decoys from Russian side may be indicator that Russians now are hunting actively to take out on hunting on the Ukrainian air defense systems to take them out, and quite possible that this is happening in preparation of possible large-scale Russian offensive operation. But yet again, time will tell. Let's continue. This is Kommersant newspaper, which is reporting that according to head of Israel's Knesset's Committee of Foreign Affairs, Commission of Knesset. Knesset is Israel's parliament. So according to head of Commission of Foreign Affairs, USA did deliver to Ukraine almost all its stocks that they had in Israel, and this was said during the interview with the RTVI TV channel. And this is important because, as I mentioned many times, Russia and Israel are in quite good relationships. Russian diplomacy manages to establish good relationships with Israel, and same time had good relationships with the Arab countries around Israel, and not just there. In this sense, Russian diplomacy is quite successful, I should say. And because of this, I mean, even though I don't see how Israel could stop USA to transfer US weapon stocks from Israel to Ukraine, but it would be nice if leaders of Israel openly stated that they want nothing to do with this US activity, because I don't think that Israel wants to be next to the countries that are enemies of Russia. I just don't wish to Israel this kind of perspective. So they should be more proactive, really. And even openly state that, they are not taking any sides and not supporting Zelensky's Nazi regime, because, I mean, it's just unbelievable how Israel can support those Nazis, man. I mean, come on. Although, even though there is some information that some Israeli companies are providing Zelensky's Nazi regime with some technologies and logistical information, which is bad enough on its own, But yet again, this information also gives us information to see how difficult situation for US is in terms of stockpiles of weapons. Because we had recently information that US was sending, even from South Korea, its stocks to Ukraine, and we are seeing now that they almost left no stockpiles in Israel. Everything was delivered to Zelensky's Nazi regime. So probably US truly has some issues with the ammunition. Let's continue. This is RBK news agency, which is reporting that Germany will increase defense budget up to 10 billion euros. And no surprises here. As I said many times before, this conflict in Ukraine was provoked by London and Washington with the intention to force NATO member states to increase their budget spendings on military. And they are doing this in preparation to fight not Russia, but they are doing this in preparation to fight China. Because main target for Western elites are China. And they are using this conflict in Ukraine. And one of the reasons why they did provoke this conflict in Ukraine is, and why they are prolonging this conflict, is to force NATO member states to increase the spendings on military, to increase manufacturing capacities of military industrial complex in Europe, particularly in Europe, but in USA, in Britain too, because it's obvious now that they do have some issues with the manufacturing capacities. And they are openly saying that. I mean, just a few days ago, we had information from NATO that Stoltenberg, if I'm not mistaken, was saying that Ukraine is spending in a day more artillery shells that some middle-sized European country is ordering for entire year. So European defense industry is just unable to cope with this kind of demand. So it's obvious that this conflict was used by Western elites to increase not just budget spending, military spending of NATO member states, but also to increase manufacturing capacities of military industrial complex. And this is happening in preparation for war with China, because they don't really want to fight Russia openly, because they know it will end very badly for them. But they want to prepare NATO member states for war with China, and they are openly saying that they want regime change in Russia, so that if they, that's what they hope are probably, that they want regime change to establish some extremely pro-Western regime here, and then to create some divisions between Russia and China, so that they can use Russia as a main theater of military operations against China. And to be honest, we don't want to have anything with this. I mean, we don't need none of it. If they won't fight China, it's up to them, but Russia don't want to have anything with this. In Russian interests are to have good relationships with everybody, really. It's difficult to have good relationships with the Western states now, because they have some crazy elites, crazy and criminal elites, obviously. But one day, the situation will probably change, and Western societies will succeed to change, to do some renovation and to create some proper elites there. And then, relationships between Russia and the West will probably become normal again. Who knows? And Russia definitely wants good relationships with China. That's, of course, obvious too. So if Western elites won't fight China, they are free to do so. But Russia, will in my opinion, Russia will have none of it here. So let's continue. This is RIA Novosti news agency, and the Russian ambassador, the spokesperson, if I'm not mistaken, yes, embassy's spokesperson gave information to journalists that Russian side, Moscow, official Moscow, will don't leave this topic of Nord Streams, and Russia will try to Russia will do anything and everything to make sure that US and all parties that were involved in this act of international terrorism, and that's a definition that's given from Russian side to this attack, so that Russia will do everything to so that everyone that is involved in this act of international terrorism will pay price for their actions. And one should say that US is already paying in some sense, because from a reputational standpoint, I mean, even if many countries openly are not saying anything, it's obvious that US reputation is now, I mean, at lowest point probably that it ever was. So let's continue. And truly, I hope that Moscow will do everything, and Moscow will use all international platforms that are left to condemn this act of international terrorism by US, that was conducted by US and Norway, and probably Britain too. I'm quite sure some involvement of London. London should be involved in some way in this attack. They may had information, they may did not send their militaries to to destroy these pipelines, but they may had information or something like that. I don't know. But I'm quite sure London is involved too. And this is TASS News Agency, and this information is kind of continuation of Nord Stream pipelines topic. And here, Chinese Foreign Ministry is stating that Western media has lost its voice over this story about pipelines, and basically Chinese Foreign Ministry is laughing at the West, and particularly on the Western media, because it's the West and Western media that are talking about freedom of speech, true journalism, and the rest of it. And now we are seeing that almost none big media outlet in the West said anything or demand answers from Washington about inquiry that award-winning U.S. journalist Hersh did published a few days ago. So China, I can understand this irony that coming from Chinese Foreign Ministry, because not truly. How many times we hear from U.S., for example, what is freedom of speech and what is journalism, and now look at them. So this is RT, Russia Today, which is reporting that the U.S. shut down Iranian-made drone over in Syria, over the Konoko gas field. And as you know, Russia and Iran are represented in Syria officially, legally, because Syrian government asked for help. But US illegally occupies quite a huge part of Syria, and particularly oil and gas fields. And U.S. officials stated that this drone, which was shut down on Tuesday, this drone was conducting some information gathering operation, and that's why it was shut down. Of course, it's illegal act. No, U.S. military should never been in Syria in the first place. But once again, just see double standards, man. Just see what real face of Western elites, man. They are occupying territory in Syria, and same time, they are saying that Russia is occupying some territory somewhere. Who are you, for God's sake, to say anything about Russia or any other country? Just look at what you do. Who cares what US elites are truly thinking, man? I mean, this, you know what US elites truly are. Criminals and mass murderers. So that's, face of US. They are occupying huge parts of Syria's territory and pointing on some other countries. I mean, it's laughable, man. It's laughable. As I said, reputation of US is on the lowest point probably ever. I don't remember times when US reputation was so much damaged that it is now. So let's continue. This is RBK News Agency, and we have information here that EU could not made agreement about EU member states could not agree on a new packet, yet another package of sanctions against Russia. And these ones are also clowns, man. I mean, just all these EU bureaucrats and European elites in general. I mean, just there are some exceptions, definitely, but majority of them are just clowns, And they could not manage to, have agreement about new package of sanctions because some European member states still unable to find alternative for Russian rubber. This time is rubber, man. Synthetic rubber that they are buying from Russia. And yeah, because of this it's 10th package of sanctions, if I'm not mistaken. And probably they will find a way to put on Russia this package of sanctions, then 11th, 12th, and because as I said, they are clowns, man. They are just laughable clowns that should no one take seriously. It's sad that they have power in Europe, and these clowns are telling to European nations what they should do and how should they do it and when. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Let's continue, and this is gonna be last news for now. This is Georgian news agency, Interpress News. As I mentioned a few times, I used to work for this agency many years ago, and we have information here that, and this information is important. That's why I'm sharing it with you. And we have information that Euro Parliament made a resolution to condemn Georgian oligarch Bidzina Ivanishvili and to put sanctions on him. They are demanding now sanctions to be put in this resolution on Bidzina Ivanishvili, who is one of the leaders of and founder of a ruling party in Georgia, Georgian Dream. That's the name of that party. And all this is happening because of former president of Georgia, war criminal, Mikhail Saakashvili, who is in prison for good reasons. He should be in prison for life because he committed much more crimes that he was imprisoned for. But as you understand, I mean, Saakashvili was U.S. puppet, and probably Uh, U.S. wants once again. They did use Saakashvili to provoke conflict with Russia in 2008, and now they want to use Saakashvili this topic to destabilize Georgia and somehow provoke yet another, make regime change, destabilize Georgia, do some regime change there, and if they succeed, then provoke conflict with Russia and open kind of second front or something like that. I'm quite sure. I mean, U.S. Officials almost openly, and including U.S. embassy staff in Georgia, they are almost openly supporting henchmen of associates of Saakashvili and pushing them to, destabilize Georgia. And we are seeing now that, even on a level of Europarliament, even though this structure has no respect anywhere in the world, because, I mean, this circus, I mean, is just low-level circus, of course. But still, they made resolution 577 so-called deputies, MPs, vote for this resolution, and they want Saakashvili to be free, basically. But yet again, I hope the current Georgian government will do everything to keep country far away from, from any conflict with Russia, and will manage somehow to neutralize these criminals that are calling themselves opposition in Georgia, because Georgia would not survive, if there is some internal turmoil there and some kind of civil war, And same time, as you can see, U.S. and Western elites in general actively trying to destabilize Georgia. They want regime change there, so to provoke conflict between Georgia and Russia. But not just Georgia. Look what is happening in Moldova. That's one more hot point. And U.S. and the Western elites, including Romania, they're using Romania in case of Moldova to destabilize that country and to somehow provoke yet another epicenter of confrontation with Russia, because, as you know, there is Transnistria, former republic, that Transnistria was part of Moldova at some point, but now it's how you say it? It claims independence. It claims independence from Moldova, and if Western elites did succeed, we may see attempt from Moldova to recapture Transnistria, which will definitely provoke Russia to get involved, and that way you will have yet another front against Russia. So you can see what kind of truly horrible elements are those Western elites, man. They are trying to destroy right now before our eyes. They are trying to destabilize and destroy two countries, Moldova and Georgia, just to, make life a little bit harder for Russia. That's what they want, really, because they want to destabilize this country and provoke some conflict with Russia. And yet again, I hope, I don't know about Moldova. I don't really care about Moldova, let's be honest. But Georgia is different to me. And I hope Georgian government will manage to keep country safe and on a far away distance from any conflict with anybody. So this is it. This is it for now. I hope you find this video interesting. And if so, please hit that like button, leave some commentary, and if you can, please share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on Twitter, Facebook, Telegram, or any other platform that you are active on. That will greatly increase my chances to reach wide audience. And if you can support my channel and my work with donation too. You will see all links in the description box. Thank you very much. Have a nice day and take care.